Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Sentinel story. I have Mr. Will with us today. Hi, Mr. Will.
How you doing, Miss Vester?
You know what? I'm surviving. I'm doing all right.
Good, good, good. That's all we can ask for at this point. Each
I
day is
know,
live, right?
definitely. Tell us what you do at Spanaway Lake and how long have you been working in the building with us?
Sure. So my role is district equity specialist. So whereas I work for the district, I guess my office or telephone, since I move over so much, is at Spanaway Lake.
Yeah,
And what I do specifically is I advocate for students, their families, and other stakeholders to make sure they're getting equitable access to resources and get whatever it is that they need to be successful in school. And to make sure as a school and as a district, we don't have barriers that are getting in people's way.
right, right. And how long have you been? Is this your second year with
This is
us?
the second year. The second year has
Yes.
been in the district. Second year with us, yes.
Yes, so it's nice. It's nice to have you. I definitely enjoy seeing you in different spaces, and I've seen some of the work that you've been doing in our community. It's much appreciated for sure.
Thank you, thank you. I feel like I needed to be doing more, but we'll get there eventually.
What highlights have you had so far this school year? I know it's no, it's the end of January. Oh my goodness.
Right.
What
School's
highlights
half of
have
the
you
week.
had this year in the remote learning realm doing the work that you do?
Sure. Um, the biggest highlight I think is now starting to get people to understand the importance of having an effective student voice in the school. Last year, it was the constant bumping heads of, well, what are they going to say? Are the students going to bash us? No, we don't want to hear that. And
Right.
now getting everyone to recognize we need their voice, it's effective, and students know how to filter. They really have great insight. And once we listen to them and implement some changes, we'll be well on our way to getting to what we want in terms of equity, diversity, and everything else in the school.
Right. I think what some people don't realize is that when we start collecting different voices, that some of the struggles that people have with schools or with specific situations, it's
Mhm.
like they're missing that critical piece of student and family voice to make those changes instead of a system or people working in that system making the changes for the families and students. It can happen in a different way, in a more collaborative sense.
Yes, I think it's, for lack of a better term, I think the way generally people's thought process is backwards. Why do you have people making all the decisions without having the voices of those that's impacted?
Yeah,
At best, that's an incomplete decision. If you don't have their voice, you're making a decision affecting somebody and you're not letting them say, well, this is how it would impact me.
right. And then we end up doing probably additional work to fix the
Yes,
situation, and then hopefully, there is a better result at the
yes.
end. But it's good work. I know year two, remote, probably challenging, and hopefully as we move to
Mhm,
being fully together again, then more
mhm.
movement is happening. So I love
Yes,
to see the work. It's definitely inspiring a lot of kids to speak up in different spaces, so it's great.
yes. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
What high school did you go to?
Junction City High School. So that's where I graduated.
Junction
Um,
City.
in Kansas, home of Timothy McVeigh, the
Oh,
bomber. That
wow.
that went on when I was in high school. Father's retired Army, so I've been in high school in Germany, Kentucky, and ultimately graduated in Kansas.
Kentucky. Okay.
Yes.
My stepdad's from Kentucky, from
Mhm.
Lexington.
I
Wait,
was in Fort Campbell. I don't know how far Lexington is. We
I
was there
don't
all
know.
of like 6 months my freshman year, so not
Okay.
long
So
ago.
you weren't a Kentuckian very long.
No.
So a lot of movement for you
Mhm,
as
mhm.
a student. What were so knowing that experience and knowing that some of our families end up moving around and having to relocate for various reasons as well, what were some of the experiences that you had that taught you lessons that you kind of have with you like right now to this day?
Um, what I understand is that everybody has their season. So we could be great for a year and then we go our separate ways. It doesn't take away what we have for the year. That was all meant to be. One thing about a military family, people come and people go.
Yeah.
And I use that in relationships. I use that in dealing with projects and everything. And no, it's just not forever, but to enjoy it while I have it.
Yeah. Enjoy it, maximize it.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that. So I'm going to jump into some other
Okay.
questions.
Okay.
How can you help others at school?
Um, at school, I can help them by, and this is going to sound cheesy, but I wholeheartedly believe it, by loving them. And what I mean by loving them, you love them to where you get something from everybody. For
Hmm.
those that are super ambitious, you can learn from their willpower. From those that, make mistakes, you can learn lessons from them. Now, I may not necessarily agree, and I may not even like you, but I know enough to love you enough to engage with you, to
Right.
help you whatever it is that you need.
So I understand your definition of love, and you can correct me if
Mhm.
I'm wrong, is like this unconditional sense, because if we're loving each other through our mistakes and differences, we're still trying to like move together in this journey of life to
Mhm.
do something better for the community. So like that unconditional type of love.
Yes, yes,
Got it.
wholeheartedly got it. Yes. One thing I
Yes.
always say is we all make mistakes, and a phrase I use often, one of the best things about being human is perfection isn't expected. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Make
A
mistakes
hundred
and move
percent.
on.
Yes. 100%.
Mhm.
When you're disappointed, you.
I reflect.
Mhm.
I am a process A to Z thinker. So I'm disappointed because I didn't get my expected result. So I reflect, why didn't I get my expected result? Did I even plan properly, or do I even deserve that result? Because
Yeah.
sometimes we want something we don't even deserve.
Right. Yeah.
So it's to reflect, to figure out the why. And if it's something I still want and I think I deserve, what do I need to change to go
Mhm.
about changing that disappointment and getting what it is that I want or need, whatever that
Definitely.
looks like.
Yeah, reflection. Reflection is
Mhm,
the key to so many different things.
mhm,
So many
mhm.
different things. What things when things don't go your way, you.
Reevaluate my process. I
Mhm.
am an believer in a trust the process. I don't even know, can I pull it up here? If I It's
Yeah,
in the
I
red, the
see.
sign at
I
the
see
top,
it.
trust the process. It's
Yeah.
the sign of mine. I believe it. I believe in creating that process. And
Yeah.
once you have that process, trust it all the way through. Even if you have to take some detours, trust that that process that you created, it's going to work. And then also trust that everyone is entitled to their own process. So even
Mhm.
if someone doesn't agree or do things your way, they have a right and entitled to their process, just like you yours. And I just evaluate that.
Yeah.
And okay, what needs to be changed? That's yeah,
So we've got reflection and we've got reevaluate.
yes,
Yes.
yeah.
So far 2 R's. I feel like you're gonna be coming up with another one soon,
Oh,
so
all right, the triple R. Okay,
the
let me
triple
think of this.
R, yeah.
Like the triple
Um,
B, big baller band. Now it's triple R.
I'm talented at.
I had to think about this, and the answer is nothing. I'm going to say, how I view talent is something that you're born with. And then I look at the difference between talent and skill. Talent is what you're born with,
Mhm.
skill is what you're developed. Now, I'm skillful at a few things. I'm
Okay.
skillful at communicating. And to me, communicating is not what you say, but what the other person hears.
Mhm.
So if I am saying XYZ, but if all you're hearing is one, two, three, then I'm talking to you. I'm not communicating with you. So to figure out how you communicate, that's something I'm talented at. I am talented at being focused and strategic on whatever it needs to be done for a solution.
Mhm.
That's me another saying, and I won't pull it up. Where there's a will, there's a way, and it's a
Mhm.
play on my
Yeah.
name, but it's also I believe that I'm
Yeah.
skilled at. Okay, you figure out a process, well, to figure out to make it work. Born with maybe I have a talent of being stubborn, seeing stuff all the way through um, to the end. I was
Yes.
born 2 months premature. Doctor said I wasn't going to live. And
Wow.
I was 3 pounds and spent the first 30 days in the incubator. And my parents said I always had this just stubborn, mean look on my face, like I wanted to punch somebody. So maybe that's my talent. You know what? I'm just going to be stubborn
You're
and
a
figure out.
survivor.
Yes, there we go.
When I'm afraid, I.
I raised my voice.
Mhm.
So I believe that your actions can control your emotions and not the other way around. So it's like a trick. So when I don't feel well, well, let me put in some effort. When I'm feeling afraid, let me raise, my voice. If
Yeah.
I'm feeling a little bit insignificant, let me remember stuff I accomplished before. If I'm feeling down, let me put on some new clothes. We all feel like when we get
Yeah.
some new clothes,
Yes.
right, right,
Yes.
let me step. So
Right.
that's
Right.
it.
Right.
So take my actions and use those to control emotions, and specifically with disappointment. I mean, when I'm afraid, I raise my voice because you feel powerful when you raise your
Yeah.
voice. Sometimes it's raising it at myself.
Yeah. I'm like, wait, did I do that last night? Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, probably. Um, you achieve your goals by,
Focusing on my one thing. So it's a concept from a book I read several years ago, and it's called The One Thing. And what it does is it says, when you're figuring out something, what is the one thing I can do that will make everything else easier or unnecessary? So it's
mm-hmm,
about getting that narrow focus. We think, we need to do multitasking. Multitasking doesn't really work in the brain because you're
right.
trying to do two things at once. You're focusing on one more than the other. So what do I need to focus on, and what's that ultimate, goal? And that's what that is to me. Whatever is that one thing, focus on that, Will. Now, there's several steps to that one thing, but
Yeah.
Will, this is your primary thing. Focus on that.
Okay. Yeah. That is, it's because people have so much going on. Um,
Mhm.
and then they try to figure out what are the roadblocks in trying to achieve something. But then if you're trying to achieve like a whole bunch of different things all at once, that idea, people are like, oh, I'm a great multitasker. And I'm like, no, nobody's not. Like, multitasking is one of the hardest things ever.
Mhm.
um and I think we hold back and we are not our best selves when we spread ourselves so thin. So that
Mhm.
idea of like, if you really want it to happen, then you're just on this mission and you're like focused on trying to achieve that one
Yes.
specific item.
Yes. And then
Okay.
once you accomplish your thing, you go to the next. To tie that into my role is when I started, and it took a little bit to evaluate. Student voice is my one thing. Well, how do you address inequities? Student voice. You get their voice in there, and they will help change everything,
Right.
else. But that's that one thing. And that's why I always constantly preach. What did the student say? What did the student say? But Will, yada, yada, yada. Well, what did the student say? Then we get their impact,
Yeah.
their voices. Yes.
Okay. Let's see. I help encourage others by,
Encouraging them to share their voices and their stories. We are all unique and we all have different things that we've been through. And me encouraging you to share your story and your voice to you, that lets you know you are important. I am important to Mr. Will. I am important to Miss Vesta. I am important to this person,
yeah.
because they are taking the time to actually listen to me and not listen to change. Well, yeah, but, well, yeah, do this, but actually just listen, right? And let you
Yeah.
know it's important. And that is what I say is the biggest challenge with student voice and with adults, period, is getting the adults to just listen.
Yeah,
Don't try and think.
just to take it in. I think there's so many creative ways of problem solving. And if
Mhm,
we don't,
mhm,
and there are limitations in public school systems to certain ideas, but
mhm,
if we don't fully listen to it, then how do we not maximize it? And then how do we, like, we miss opportunities, because then what if somebody in the community has funding, or what if there's some type of funding somewhere to
mhm,
then actually put in place this big
mhm,
idea?
mhm, mhm,
So I
mhm,
think you're right, just that process of just fully listening, no matter
mhm,
how outside of the box we
mhm.
think it is. Schools are changing, the world
Yes,
is changing, there's so
yes,
much that is happening.
yes,
um, that doing things because we've always done them, or doing things because we're old school, that
yes.
doesn't necessarily work for the children that we serve now.
Right, right,
Yeah,
right.
they're
And
such creative beings.
you and I are both parents, and the conversation I've had with my son and with other parents is, as parents, we need to reevaluate how we think with children.
Hmm.
Back in our days growing up, if you question anything your parents said, what? What? You didn't have to ask, You don't ask why. But nowadays, you ask the why, just because when you think of Google and everything they have access to, they're
Yeah.
inquisitive by nature. And the why is not questioning authority, it's not challenging. They just want to know. And
Well,
they
and
have the
we
right
teach
to
them
know.
that through curriculum, through essential questions, like all of those critical thinking moments in every different subject area.
Mhm.
We're teaching them to kind of break down these concepts and ideas, not only in the classroom, but in their community and the world.
Yes, yes. But then when we don't like it for them to ask why, they'd be like, why can't they ask why?
Right.
Right? Why
Now,
can't
like,
you
don't get
answer
me
it?
wrong, like a toddler asking why 1,000 times is different than a teenager asking why, because sometimes it's just like because I said so with a three
Right,
or a 4 year
right,
old.
right.
But with the older kids, I just feel like they just see our world so differently. Like
Yes,
we're walking the same path with them, but
yes.
like you're right, how they consume what they're seeing, how they process it, and then how they see solutions is just
Mhm,
so different, and the access that they have to
mhm,
researching
mhm.
solutions is just so different as well.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Let's see, others say I am.
I'm rigid. They say, "Will you have your principles and you stick with them no matter what?" And it's a less results. To me, results are more important to relationships. Relationships are important, but if my relationship with you is impacting the results that I need to get, I want to get
Hmm.
those results on just
Right.
whatever it is. So those principles are important to me. They'd be like, "Will, you need to let stuff go." No, it's the principle. I'm one of those people. The
Right.
principle is just so important to me, because principles kind of define who you are.
So we have reflection, we have reevaluate, and now we have results.
There we go. I knew you was gonna find something.
I found it. I found it. Nice work. The person I most admire is.
My mother, by far.
Hmm.
We have had, she's had three children die. So I've had three siblings
Wow.
die, two of them as adults. One, 25, had a heart attack, not 25 of AIDS, and 18 years old having a heart attack playing basketball within 2 years of each other. And then an infant died. And she's still so strong. Her and my dad pastor churches. They mentor other people, and a lot. I have two children, and if I ever lost one, I would just ball up and I wouldn't
Uh,
know how to function. Right,
right.
right. But to
Yeah.
to go through that and to deal with and still be strong. And my dad too. I mean, they've been married 50 plus years and still going on strong. So her by far,
Yeah.
she is definitely superhuman strength, and so is my dad too.
I
Yes.
I believe I'm on board with the parents. Very, very strong. Like my mom's been battling cancer for 3 years now and
Oh,
is still battling and struggling, but the just kind of the love and the engagement and just kind of the hopes and the dreams and all of that, just all the passion is just so
mhm.
there and alive, and I love that. um
Yeah.
I can be a positive role model by.
Um, Sharing my story, what people what people see of me, they have no idea what my story is like, and just sharing that with them. I was actually having a conversation with somebody a couple weeks ago, and we looked up, and I know I told you my military child, but my dad didn't join the army until I was 10. So I was born in Philadelphia, in Camden, New Jersey. We looked up a couple weeks ago. When I first started in that school district, the graduation rate was under 40%. Even today now, as of today, they are touting in that school district's website, they have spent $300 million over the last 4 years improving their schools, and the graduation rate is just 60%. Right.
Wow.
So you go from that, and from inner city, extremely poor, to two master's degrees, the houses, the cars, the high price, everything you would consider that. And even then, and I had to spend 2 years locked up, not because I didn't do any drugs or anything like that, but I made some poor choices after my brothers died, and I had to pay the result of that. Now they've been gone 20 plus years, and I've had to do so much work to change, but no one will look at me now understands that that is what I went through before, and how that is positive to other people to be like, you are so much bigger than statistics. You are so much bigger than what your past.
Right.
You can change so much. You are just not limited to whatever circumstances you are in now. You can change that and you can
Mhm.
put in the work, and it's not going to be easy. And if you want to know what that looks like, you can look at me. I can't say because I dribble a basketball or catch a
Right.
football. This
Right.
is just straight work and figuring out how to get it done.
Not allowing the narrative, even other people's narrative or perception of
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
define you, because that's
Hmm.
what a lot of kids are impacted by now as well. They're also impacted by um, kind of wanting to live out the dreams of other people,
Hmm. Hmm.
and kind of expectations of other people, and not
Yes.
really doing that like reflective work to say, this is my best self, and this is my journey and where I need to go to
Hmm.
kind of be that, kind of that. It's not like this ultimate thing, but there's a freedom in like
Yes.
being able to say, this is who I am, especially at a young age, and then going on
Yes.
that path, knowing like truly what your soul is wanting to do with your future.
Yes. My
Yeah.
son, he's about to graduate in May. He said something to me 12 years old to check me because I'm so anal and and he's complete opposite. So one time I said, son, why don't you do like this and this and this? And he went up to me and he patted me on the shoulder. Dad, you know I'm not you, right? And that,
Yep.
that completely changed.
Oh
Right.
man.
Right.
Oh man,
Completely
mine's
changed
only
it.
4. It's gonna happen. Yep, it's gonna happen. They're gonna say, okay, okay.
Yes. Yep. And I said,
You're like,
you're absolutely right.
you're right.
Right. I'll let you figure that out, son.
Yeah, because we have to allow them to make mistakes. I mean, they're
Yes.
kids,
Yes.
they
Yes.
have to be able to have that opportunity. And as long as it's not life threatening, they'll learn from certain things as
Yes.
well.
Yes.
But yeah, that's interesting. Any final thoughts that you have for
Um,
us?
Thank you for, the time. And then for everyone in the remote learning, just continue to do your best and be
Yeah,
patient. We are all struggling and we all empathize with you and we all know that it's tough. So keep doing what you do with the t-shirt. You're good. It says mental health matters. It's
it
very
does.
important. It's very talk to someone. Talk to your parents, your teachers, your social workers. There is nothing wrong with having conversations. There's nothing wrong with therapy. So yes, by all means, do that.
Do that. And we have in the school newsletter, the school counselors have a virtual counseling center, and our student services, we have a virtual space as well, and a
Mhm.
virtual calming room with some activities. And we just always want students and families to know that we can get you lined up with resources. If there's ever a crisis at all, then please, I will make sure that all those numbers are in the description of this video, and I'll even include a slide with some other numbers for support. But make sure we're
Cool.
taking care of ourselves and our community. Definitely.
Cool.
Thank you. Well, have a
Thank
good
you.
day. I appreciate your time for
You too.
sure.
Thank you for your time.
Bye.
Bye.
Join the Student Voice team to be a part of the change at Spanaway Lake. Contact Mr. Will with additional questions. It's important to take care of your mental health. Talk with your family or school staff for support. Check out our virtual student services for resources and self-care strategies. The links are below in the description of this video. If you, a friend, or a family member is experiencing a mental health crisis, here are some numbers that you can check in with. If there's anything life-threatening happening, call 911.